these bodies because they're either very, there's not enough information to go off of, just off of like say bones and things like that. So I guess one of the sheriffs down there, oops, let's see, they contacted my research advisor and suggested us asking if they could test textiles. And so that's what we were trying to see, because what we were trying to test was there's this the US and other countries did a lot of like atomic bomb testing through the after World War II. And that created this bomb curve. If you can see it in the top right hand corner, the radiocarbon in the atmosphere levels from normal, they peaked like really sharply during that area. And over the years, after like bomb testing has been kind of outlawed and things like that, the levels have been slowly coming back to normal. So if you have textiles from that era, they're going to have a bit higher than normal carbon-14 radiocarbon content that we are testing to see if these old like shirts and t-shirts like that. Yeah.
So is it textiles through that generation and that generation, like just period when it was with the bombs, like flags, all of that would have the I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I
the radioactive.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. So during this era, you can see the blue line down there. That's the normal levels usually in the atmosphere. That's like pretty constant over like just thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
But then bomb testing happened, and that caused a really sharp spike of radiocarbon in the atmosphere. And this radiocarbon comes down in like rain and things like that into the ground and gets absorbed by plants, which like cotton, for example. And the cotton now has the radiocarbon within it, and depending, they continuously gain more and more as they're growing. But once they're harvested, they stop collecting radiocarbon, and from that point on, the radiocarbon starts to decay. There's a rate of decay, and you can compare that to say like the levels. You can go back and trace back where it was harvested, the year. And so that's what we were testing to look for.
Oh my gosh, that's so neat. Sorry, that was like amazing.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting how that works. I didn't know about this before this professor contacted me about this research. So I thought this is really cool. And there's this little diagram on the side that shows kind of how this process works of getting the carbon content into like this little pellet of just pure carbon. And so what we do is we clean and prepare these samples, and you don't need a lot, like very like 1 gram basically. And you put them in these tubes, and you there's this whole rig where of a series of tubes and condensers that take away things like water and other gases that you don't want, because we just want the carbon dioxide so we can turn that into graphite. And these tubes, we combust it, and it's vacuum sealed. So we combust it to release the carbon dioxide, which is where the C14 is stored, the carbon-14, the radiocarbon. And we put it through this series of tubes by just how, because it's vacuum sealed, the gas expands. And so that's how we get it to move to these areas that we want. And we have these little traps with like liquid nitrogen or dry ice, which are very cold, which helps condense these other things like water. Water has a different condensation point than, say, carbon dioxide, which is a lot lower. So the water will become ice before this other gas becomes ice. And so that like the CO2 will just pass right through while the water gets turned into ice and stays at that spot. So that's how we filter all these unwanted elements out. So at the end, hopefully, if we do this correctly, we get just pure carbon dioxide in a tube, and we combine it with some other materials to help convert it into graphite in the end, so that we can compress them into pellets and shoot them into the particle accelerator. And then, so we did all this and we compared our results to the bomb curve, and we found that we could date these textiles to within 5 years of when they were harvested, because we had to, the way we did that is these t-shirts were donated to us, and the t-shirts themselves had like the year, like say it was like a marathon for a specific year. So we just assumed that these t-shirts were made like within that period, you know? And let's see. Yeah, our results are what we found, because usually the issue with these sorts of things, with dating things like for forensic analysis, if you're using things like bones or teeth like that, you can only go so far with that sort of method. You can, like, I believe it's like 10, 20 years, the range that how old someone could be based on bones. So having this other data helps narrow the range of when how old these things are. Hopefully that makes sense. And then we started the second experiment to test for mixed fiber textiles, so things like cotton, polyester. But because polyester is made from oil that was in the ground for millions and millions of years, that throws off the carbon content, the radiocarbon content, because you have all this old, very, very ancient carbon that's been around for a long time. And so it has like almost no carbon-14 in it at that point. So when you have this new cotton that was just picked, like say a century ago, it has comparatively a lot more radiocarbon, so that throws off the results. So we wanted to find a way to test for those cases. Unfortunately, COVID happened and we weren't able to finish that project, but what we started with was just using enzymes to break down the cotton and then filtering that cotton through these microfilters to only have the broken down cotton molecules. But we didn't get too far with that. Yeah, any questions about this topic before I move on to the next one?
I had a question. So in chemistry class, you have to use something that's similar. It sounds the same. Is it the same as this device, the accelerated mass spectrometer? I don't remember what the device you use in the chemistry class is called, but it makes like a loud noise and then it gives you different readings. Actually, I'm getting it confused with the one that tells you about. There's one in chemistry class. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is this the same thing that students would use in a chemistry class, or is this something that's specific to certain?
I'm not too sure, but this rig, the one that's displayed on the screen, this was in a room all by itself, and that's kind of akin to what you find in a chemistry lab. But the accelerator particle, the particle accelerator itself is underground and it's quite big. And because you need that sort of like a big thing to accelerate this thing to like near light speeds. So yeah, but that one's underground. And it's a different device, uses different mechanics. That's more of a physics thing.
Awesome, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah,
I need
helpful.
to figure out what the other one is. Yeah, that helped.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not a chemistry major, so I haven't had too much experience with like chemistry labs.
So when you were doing these experiments, did you need to know a lot of math?
No, actually, there's not a lot of math at all, if any. It was just like simple like percentages and things like that. Like we were just finding what do you call it? There's a term for this. I'm not a chemist, so it's like the reactants and the participants or something like that, and you get the net result of that. That was simple math.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and another way we use math in this is since the tubes are vacuum sealed, we know the volume of this container, and so we compare this at the end to what we have left, the pressure, using pressure to gauge how much gas is in there, because we can compare that to the molar mass and get how many grams of CO2 at the end, even though it's still a gas.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions before I move on? No? Okay, I'll go on to the next one. Let's see. Okay, so this one is my astrophysics research, which I just started this year. The other one was the past year. And this is through the Space Grant program. And so this one deals with black holes. And we're looking into tidal disruption events, which is when you have like a star or some other object coming near a black hole, and the tidal forces kind of are so strong near a black hole that they kind of rip apart these other things that come in contact with it. And so it kind of creates this stream. Like if you look at the image there, the star is being kind of siphoned off by the black hole, and this matter that starts swirling around the black hole. Usually black holes, due to their very nature, you can't really see them any other way. So when these events happen, they create create a lot of energy from just that moving mass, the accretion disk, and it becomes so bright and so hot that it emits light in the X-ray spectrum, and they create like these very bright bursts that our telescopes are looking out for. And so when they see something like that pop up in the sky, they go look at it and collect data on it. And that's what I was looking into, just this data that these telescopes have been collecting. Because typically what we know about black holes is that is just due to, like, say, like very, very large black holes, like at the center of galaxies, which are like really, really big. They're like millions of solar masses compared to these black holes, these intermediate sized black holes, which are typically like 1 to 10 solar masses. They're not very big, so they don't interact too much with a lot of other objects in the sky. So a lot of our data is just concerned, the data that we do have is concerned with these very large black holes, but physics works differently for the smaller ones. So we want data for these, which we don't really know anything about. So that's why we're looking into these tidal disruption events, because otherwise we would not be able to see these black holes. And from these events, they've created a model to like kind of ray trace photons and see like how, based on like you enter a set of parameters, and we can kind of estimate the spin of a black hole, which tells you things about its mass and other properties that we wouldn't otherwise know. And so what I've been doing for this research was just doing a lot of coding and like reading scientific literature to find more instances of these black holes, and just collect a lot of data, like raw data about these objects. Like I have like a folder of like hundreds of these events with like dates and observation times. And so I condense that into things like this graph here. I use like Python code to create this graph from scratch with the data that I've collected so far.
That is neat. If you look at it, it kind of looks like a DNA sequence.
Yeah, so each of those tick marks there represents an event that's been observed. And on a particular day, the x-axis is the number of days since the first flare went out and the telescope went to go see it. And according to the research, after certain periods of time, you get these, the black hole acts in a certain way. So the accretion disk gets hotter or faster or brighter during these certain periods, like say 100 days after it, 1000 days after it. So that's why these models, this plot is useful for people to look at. So we can see which ones we want to choose to look at closer.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, that's about as much as I've gone through so far, because it's only been half a semester since I've been doing this. And I think that's all I have for my PowerPoint. Does anyone have any other questions about anything I've gone over, or anything about college life in general, especially in STEM?
I
So
have a question. Oh, go ahead,
Sure.
Natalia.
no, go ahead.
Okay, so how do you get started into like applying for research, or I guess like narrowing your options of what types of research are available to you?
Mhm. So fortunately at the University of Arizona, there's tons of research options, especially for other fields. Like there's a lot of like medical programs and science biology programs. But for my fields, it's kind of hard because there's not a lot of options for me, because there's not that many students in these fields. So what I tend to go through is just the general STEM research links. So some things like UROC and other programs like that the university hosts. There's also a ton of other options that are hosted by other universities similar to that. And if you go on to like the NSF website, National Science Foundation, you can also find a bunch of other research opportunities all over the country and even all over the world. But how I started going about it was just asking people I knew, people who are like upperclassmen than I was at the time, asking them how they did it and who they contacted. And I started with that and went to like say some professors and asked them. And then from there, they networked me to other people and just kind of it went from there until I found something.
Okay, thank you. And then branching off of that question, what are the, I guess, the common requirements when applying for your research that you've seen?
Okay. So the first research project I did, there was no really requirements. I was just asking around, and I think one of the professors was looking for someone. So they said, I just told them who I was and what I did, what my background was. And they basically just offered me the opportunity at that point. But for other ones, like if you're going through UROC, I'm not sure because I haven't done that process too much. I can only attest to the space grant program, and they required usually like 2 letters of recommendation and some essays that you need to write just about why you're passionate about these things and kind of like what fields you're interested in, so they can help guide you to some place that might be interesting for you to do research in.
Gotcha, thank you.
So Aaron, going off of that, what is UROC?
I believe it's the undergraduate research something consortium. I'm not too sure. I'm not too familiar with the program myself.
Oh, okay. And what inspired you to go into your field of study?
Well, I guess growing up, I always liked reading. Fortunately, my parents bought me like a ton of science books growing up. And so a lot of those were like astronomy books. And I really enjoyed going through those. And like I got a new book every year about like planets, stars, things like that. And so I think that really helped. I also got like a telescope at one point. And I think just following those passions growing up and just having that guide me now is what kind of led me to where I am. I've also like I'm also like I'm triple majoring, so I have like 3 different fields. All of them have always found fascinating, even though they don't always overlap, but they, for the most part, they do.
Erin, I have a question. This is Denise.
Sure.
How has your research helped tribal communities?
So I don't think my research has directly impacted tribal communities. I think how it impacts is more indirectly through like just what I do, like how I interact with other people. So like say, because in these fields, there's not a lot of like other indigenous people in these in STEM. So I don't have a lot of these other people in these fields don't have too much interaction. And so I like to at least just try to make them a bit more aware of what's going on with our communities, and I try to just kind of educate them a bit about the how we go about life.
So, what mentors have helped you along the way, you would think?
I'm sorry?
What mentors do you think helped you along the way with like your major?
Oh, well, mentors?
Yeah.
So a lot of my mentors have been just like my peers, because I went to like the Native American Student Affairs at here at the university, and there I've met a ton of people who have been super helpful, who are also in STEM majors, that have kind of guided me and sort of showed me the ropes about how things are done and what I can do to help, you know, like what programs are out there and other resources. And those have always been helpful. And I've always talked to other like people like my professors and things like that. I try to talk to them as often as I can. And usually they are really responsive to that sort of thing, and they help point you in the right direction. I think they've been really helpful so far.
Thank you for sharing.
Okay, I have another question. Since you're one, a student, and two, a researcher while being a student, what are your key takeaways from everything?
I guess the key takeaways is just about managing your time, really, because when you're working while also doing like full-time STEM degree, it's quite a lot. So just keeping on top of things is really important, and just also knowing your limits, like how much you can do before you kind of just start to crumble under all that pressure. So it's important to know how much you can do and how much like you want to do. I think just understanding all that, because I've definitely been like super like weighed down by all of it at times, but at the same time I know this is what I want to do, so I push through.
Awesome.
Erin, how?
Go ahead. I was going to ask a question, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
So Erin, your majors are mathematics, physics, and astrophysics, and you have an internship with the astronomy department. I think that's something that would be really cool, of course, post-pandemic, is in Hilo, Hawaii, they have that huge telescope that's on Mauna Kea. It's since been controversial because they want to build a new one there, which the community members there don't necessarily want because it's a sacred site. But that aside, the existing space that's there, they have like, it's more at the college, not on top of the mountain, but the connection there, they have like a really cool space where they connect the creation stories of the Hawaiian people with astronomy. And then they also have like opportunities for folks to learn about that. And so, although you say that at this point, you're not sure if your internships have impacted tribal communities, I think that that space would be really cool for you to see, because I'm sure, as you're aware, especially being in Tuba, that we have such a wealth of knowledge through the stars we have string games, we have our creation stories connected. So even with what you're doing, I'm sure that those are definitely reinforced in the culture as well, and that there's definitely some overlap. Because something that I always like to think about is that science sometimes just reconfirms things that Indigenous people have already known. So I just wanted to share that resource with you. I know that that wasn't really a question, but the question that I did want to ask is, I know that we were contacted, our office was contacted by someone from the astronomy department to do outreach, and I think they have an NSF grant, and they're working more with like um, the place. I'm forgetting the name of the place. It's on Kit Peak, I think.
Mhm.
Is that right? I know
Yeah,
you drive past it when you go to cells. They have an internship. I don't know if you're aware of that one, but that could be cool for us to share with you if you're interested in that. But my question is, I guess, is have you seen any of those overlap with the things that you've done with your internship in terms of like culture and science?
I guess the only thing is along the border, there's all these border issues, and like especially on the reservation there next to the border, the Tohono O'odham Nation, they have all these issues, and Kit Peak is located on their reservation too, I believe. And I know there's been some controversy surrounding things like that, things similar to like in Hawaii, and I'm aware of these things. I just don't know exactly how I fit into that right now, but I do keep those in mind, and how I, as a Indigenous person, can help help these issues going forward. But I'm still in the process of learning about all that.
Cool. Yeah, we all have our journeys, but that's cool that you keep that in mind. Go ahead, Natalia. I know I cut you off earlier.
Oh no, it's fine. I was just gonna ask, what advice would you give students who are coming into college? What would you recommend to them, like whether it's certain classes, writing? What would you recommend for incoming freshmen?
Well, I mean, my freshman year wasn't exactly, I left after my freshman year mainly because I didn't find that community the first time around, the Native community. And when I came back, I looked into it more, and I committed to kind of just going there very often. And through that, I was able to find a lot of people with similar interests and similar backgrounds that I can connect to and kind of rely on, and then kind of just make friends with. And I found that that was very helpful for kind of my motivations, because the first time around it was kind of just me and my roommate, who was also Hispanic. So there's that sort of connection, but it wasn't exactly the same. And through that, we kind of bonded, and we've been friends ever since, and that was like a decade ago for me. So if you're coming in, I would suggest just try to find some sort of community that you can relate to and kind of get support from, whether that's like a community of like, say, like people who enjoy the same sports, the same games, the same background, the same heritage, things like that. I think that's important to have, especially when you're away from home, especially for the first time, because it can be overwhelming. But just know that there's resources for you here, and you just have to, since you have the freedom now to make your own choices, you have to put yourself out there.
Thank you. So, Jacob, Larissa, do you have any questions for Erin?
Can be about anything. school, my interests, my background.
Erin, I don't know if we recorded right at the beginning, so your introduction may have gotten cut off in the recording. So if you would like to just reintroduce yourself briefly, and then it'll be in the recording. And then also if Jacob and Larissa have any questions based off that intro, we can go from there. And Jacob, type something in the chat so you can either answer it before or after your introduction. It's up to you.
Yeah, no, I'll answer this first. This is actually a really good question because I'm not too sure exactly. I just know that I really enjoy teaching and I really enjoy learning. And so what my current goal is to just go through and get a master's, PhD, some sort of graduate degree so that I am able to either teach or do research after this. So that's my plan.
Great. And the question was, what kind of career are you looking for after college with your study?
Yeah,
Just
so
reading it out for the recording.
okay. And then let me do my introduction. Let me pull up my slides. Okay. So my name is Aaron Goldtooth. I'm Navajo from the Navajo Reservation in Northern Arizona. I'm from Tuba City, Arizona, which is marked here on this map. And I'm currently an undergraduate student at the University of Arizona. I'm a first generation student. I'm also in my 4th year, and some hobbies, some things about me is I really like classical music and playing the piano. I used to be a piano teacher before I came back to school. Okay. Let's see.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, there it goes. I was trying to exit out of the screen. Are there any other questions or comments?
I have one about music. What's your favorite thing to play on the piano?
Well, like I said, I used to teach music, and I really like classical music. I like playing that. I taught myself back in high school, and I've been playing ever since. And I used to teach back on my reservation for a bit before I started doing other things, went into other careers. Because I had a gap of like 7 years between my first freshman year at the university and my second year, my sophomore year. So it's not like a typical undergraduate career.
Cool. Do you think that it's been like a stress relief for you, or something that you like to go back to in the midst of doing all your study and research and work related things?
Yeah, definitely. It helps like reset myself. It's like the way I kind of just reset after all the homework I do and things like that. It helps clear my mind and helps me de-stress. So I think having things like that too is helpful as a student, just having these things that you can do and just kind of reset your mind and reset your motivation before tackling school again. I think that's really important.
Oh, we have Maya starting to join us.
Oh, my God.
So if there's no more questions, Erin, you're welcome to stay with us for the rest and then debrief afterwards. Oh yes, go ahead, Carol.
So Erin, thank you so much for being here and sharing your experience with the students. I think that you're one of the first people outside of like environmental interests that we focused on. So learning about like the hard sciences like astrophysics and all that stuff is really cool. And finding out what your drive and why you became interested is really important. I think that a theme of one of our other previous NASEP cohorts was the feedback from anybody, like even if it was in the health field, even if it was in engineering or astrophysics, was promoting people to read, because regardless of what you are going to do, you're going to have to read irregardless. So, and not just for school, but as you said before, things that interest you. So thank you for bringing that into the space as well. I was looking at my email, and the person who had that astronomy opportunity that also works with tribal nations, her name is Christina Williams. I'm not sure if you know who she is, but if you don't mind, I can send you an email with her information if you would like to be introduced.
So I actually do know Christina. I've talked to her
Okay.
quite a bit. So she's the one that put me up for a lot of the stuff I've been in things with. So like the space grant program she told me about.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I figured, because she does National Science Foundation stuff too. So glad that there's already that connection there. And also want to say that the UROC program is also part of like the, I don't know if it's under the graduate college, but since you're saying that you're wanting to go to graduate school, I just want to make sure that you're aware of the Sloan Scholarship. That's the scholarship that I have. It's for STEM majors. You get, I can't remember the amount. It might be like $40,000 to go towards your studies. There's a stipend and all this stuff. Like, it's a fantastic scholarship. It's for folks who are doing their masters, and then you can do it again for your PhD. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me about it, and I can get you connected with folks who are pushing that scholarship.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So if there aren't any other questions, if we can all unmute and give a round of, sorry, my dogs are starting to, can we unmute and thank Erin for being here today. So 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.
All right, Natalia, I'll hand it off to you.
All right. I want to just say how I met Erin is when I used to work at NASA. We kind of got to know each other over there, and we stayed in touch. And I knew he was great for STEM and our NASEP program. And he is very knowledgeable, very has a passion for mathematics and physics, and I think he's a great resource. So Erin, if the students want to reach out to you, are we able to give them your email address so you can just kind of talk to them, mentor them?
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I really like talking with people about what they're interested in, you know, just helping them navigate these fields. Because I like Kiara, I know Kiara, and I tell her to always like come to me if she needs help with math, physics, anything like that. And I tell that to everyone I know. So I really enjoy it. So
Yeah, he helped me with my physics lab report the other day.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Okay, so you're more than welcome to leave or listen to what's next. It's just going to be very fast, and then we can debrief after the students depart.
Okay, yeah, I'll stay here in the background.
Okay. All right, let me all right, so let me finish, let me share my screen so we can continue. So I'm doing a split screen, so it's trying to challenge. So getting started, these are the questions again. I think last time I did not keep this up long enough for you students to take a screenshot. If you're having trouble getting started with your poster, if you're at a stop, these are some questions that will help prompt you and help you help have it click again with what you're doing. So if you want to take a screenshot, it's also in Slack. So you can go back to that. I'll be writing up a little more so we can get going, because the next thing, and here's the poster. So we want to make sure that you are asking your main question. What is your question? Is it in regards to your community? What question do you have? Some background information of your questions. Say you're trying to look for water quality through natural wells or natural springs, and how close it is to either the gold king mine, your hypothesis, what method are you using, which would be easy because you're using test kits, what results you got from your test kits, which include your graphs, your text, pictures, what your conclusion is, and what your references are. So if you want to take a screenshot of this as well, remember, keep your audience interested. So a catchy title would be really great for the judges, so it catches their eye. So I'll wait here for a moment so you can take a screenshot of this and refer back to the questions that were in the previous slide. Give me a thumbs up if you've already got your screenshot. All right. These are, I am going to be asking all of the students to be able to give me give us staff your parents' emails, so we are able to send them have them fill out these forms so you can participate in the science fairs. This one is the first page of the International Science and Engineering Fair, and these are basically the guidelines of what will be what your posters will be on and what your research is. The first science fair that's coming up that I know of is St. Michael's. That's going to be on March 5th, and today is the day to register. So if you need to get a hold of Miss Adams, talk to her, email her, and see if those can come in over the weekend. Sometimes they are able to give a little bit of leeway. The next one is the AZSEF. Well, AZSEF will be doing virtual, so we'll try to get into that science fair as well. And that's going to be through March 29th through April 3rd. And registration will be closing in a few weeks, so around March 15th. So we'll need your parents' signatures. And then the ACES Science Fair, and this is what we had you sign up for at the beginning of the NASEP cohort year. So if you haven't signed up, please sign up. If you need help signing up, let one of the staff know, Kiara, Bronson, myself, or Denise. SARSEF, that's coming up as well. And Kiara is going to register you all for those, so you are able to present your poster. And I know it's nerves right now, thinking I'm going to be enrolled in a science fair, and that's normal. That's okay. It's okay to be nervous. And then I have this opportunity. So the students that are here, there is a many opportunity. I don't know if you remember Mansell from ITEP, who came this summer, who just talked about the ITEP program. Well, what he's doing is he's offering to do a wind sensor. So you can see at the bottom of the screen right here, you're able to get one of those for free, and he is willing to pay you to do a pilot opportunity, pilot program to get paid. So get a hold of me, let me know if you're willing to do that. I'm not sure how much we're going to be paying, but this is just in addition, and there'll be some questions that you'll need to answer. It's really close to what we're doing here. It just, you'll be able to get paid. So this is a great opportunity for you all to learn. And I have this wind sensor and I carry it with me to see how good the quality air is around me, and especially in my home because it's really dusty. And I think that's it. So let me stop sharing my screen. Does anyone have any questions? No questions. So this is being recorded, and it will be put up on the Slack website, and you will be able to get access to this in a little while. So anyone have any other questions before I let the students go? Carol, do you have anything?
Do any of the NASEP students have any updates that they want to get since the last time we saw you? I know that sometimes we give you all updates. Sorry, there's a robot vacuum in the background if that's making too much noise. But yeah, if you all have any updates just about life and stuff that you want to share with us, we want to hear about you as well.
Mhm.
I'm gonna close my door really quick. Well, if you don't have any updates that you want to share at this time, you can always share it with us on Slack, or you can send it to us. If you don't have any questions right now, again, we have office hours, Natalia and I, that you can access during the week if you have any questions that you want to ask us. So mine, again, are from on Tuesday from 3 to 5. So the Zoom link should be on Slack. I'm available, so you can just hop on to that Zoom link. I'll let you in and you can talk to me about whatever it is that you want to talk to me about. And that goes for Natalia as well. She has a doodle poll that she's also going to be sending out if people want to meet one-on-one with her about their geoscience projects, or again, if you have any questions about anything else. I know that some folks need to be filling out the FAFSA soon. Well, now, fill out the FAFSA now. I think March 1st is the priority deadline for the University of Arizona, and it might be sooner for some of the other places that folks may be thinking of. So if you have questions about filling that out, we've done it lots and lots of times, so we can definitely help you out if you have any questions about that. If you have any questions about scholarships, if you want us to review scholarships, write letters of recommendations, those types of things are all things that you can ask, and it's not just limited to those things as well. But I think that's it for me, Natalia.
All right, that's it for me too.
All right, well,
So-
it's always wonderful to see you guys. I mean, to see you all, I should be inclusive, to see you all. And is that the okay to dismiss the NASEP students? I saw you.
Almost, yes. So in 2 weeks, we are having a special guest, another special guest. She is coming from Australia. She is tribal from Australia. So I will be sending out a flyer for her. And so, yes. So save the date.
Save the date and stay tuned.
All right. Thank you. You are excused. Bye, all.
Bye, see you later. Thank you. See you, Eli.
Bye.
Bye, Maya. Bye, Jacob. Oh, you're going somewhere. Cool.
All right.
I think we can, I'm going to stop the recording.